Hey guys, Chinamen here, back again with another episode where we're going to be previewing the Test series Australia versus India, starting the day this gets released. Actually, you're going to be seeing this just as the first Test is starting. So we're going to start off. We're going to get to predictions later, but we're going to start off by talking about the lineups that we pretty much know the lineups for both teams for the Adelaide Test, and I just want to hear our thoughts. So start off, Ryan. Thoughts on Australian top six?
I mean, the obvious question is whether Joe Burns should be playing. And then the other question is, what do we do with number six? Well, we know Cameron Green's going to play, assuming he's passed the fitness test, which I think he has. So he's going to play. So that sorts itself out. But that leaves the question with what do we do with the openers? Because Warner's out. So we've got two opening spots potentially up for grabs. Obviously, Pekovsky would have been the obvious choice, but he's been concussed. So he's out. So we've got two opening positions for effectively Harris, Manninson, Burns, and potentially Wade.
Well, Wade and Labuschagne are the options in the squad. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I've got to say, Manson isn't actually in the Test squad.
Yeah.
He's just played Big
Oh,
Bash.
yeah.
He's not. He can't really play.
Manson just made the A team. I don't think he was ever in the squad.
Yeah.
So the side Australia are almost definitely going to go with is going to be Burns and Wade opening, with Labuschagne, Smith, Head, and Green. Thoughts on what has Joe Burns done to merit a selection for Australia?
Okay, I think it's only because of his international form, if you can count it as form.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I see that. And I'm not really up to date with the Sheffield Shield, but I don't know if Harris really blew away the Shield.
Yeah, apart from that 500 partnership he had with Petrosky, he only played 2 games and one of them he hit 250. But apart from that, he's yeah.
So I guess he did score 250, but it was very flat, so it's hard to say.
I don't think Joe Burns has scored 250 runs combined all year.
Yeah, so that's the real issue. But Joe Burns' on international form hasn't been too bad.
What was Burns' most notable innings last summer, international-wise?
He got a century against New Zealand, didn't he?
Did he?
Did he? I thought he got one.
Was Pakistan last year? Can't remember.
Was it Pakistan?
Pakistan he got 90 or 97 or something?
Yeah, he definitely got a 97. That's true. Maybe I'm thinking of the year before.
I remember at that time everyone was hyping him up so much.
Yeah, because apparently he has good synergy with Warner, but I don't know. What is it?
Even saying he should be opening for the Ashes in 2 years' time already. It just shows how much can change in 12 months.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at his stats now.
We just look at his scores this year: 7, 29, 0, 10, 11, 4, 0, 0, 1. Those are his first class scores this summer.
I mean, if you look at he's averaged 50 against Pakistan, 68 against Sri Lanka, but he plays a half decent team like South Africa or New Zealand, and it drops to 25.
And what about India?
He's played one series against India. That was 6 years ago. He's batting on number 6 back then.
Yep.
Yeah, don't know if that counts.
I mean, Burns he didn't do that much special against Pakistan and New Zealand, considering how well everyone else managed to do. He certainly wasn't standing out. And I would argue Marcus Harris had a very solid series against India when they came 2 years ago. I didn't think he was that.
And the attack's very similar. The Indian attack's very similar. And arguably even...
I still think India would be confident against him as well.
Sure, but I mean, Burns just hasn't made any runs. Yeah. Harris has been scoring a shield. He wasn't that good in the tour games, but he was still better than Burns.
I feel like Harris got starts in almost every single one of his innings when India came here. So the fact that he's gotten decent starts against a bowling attack like that shows there's some potential there. I think he made over 20 in a lot of his innings from memory.
Yeah, he made that 70 in Perth, which was really helped us win that game that Harris and Finch partnership. And it was Finch that got dropped after the India series. It wasn't Harris. Harris kept his spot. Harris only got dropped in the Ashes away, which was incredibly tough. Warner couldn't make any runs there. And he hasn't come back into the team. And now Burns has got to score okay in the home summer, which is much easier. There was no reason Harris was dropped in the first place from the home games.
I think it's going to be a challenge for Matthew Wade as well. You could argue every time he came into bat last summer, he had no pressure at all.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
he's
for sure.
the complete opposite of that. He'll be under pressure from ball one.
I agree, but I think he will be up to it.
Yeah, but considering how well he's been playing for the past like year to 2 years,
Yeah.
like he's in a much better position than Harris or Burns realistically.
And
Is Burns going to try and challenge him with a short ball? I think that's going to be their plan to getting Wade out.
Langer loves Wade. Payne loves Wade.
Yeah, because they're both short.
Good energy.
Yeah, and he's an all-rounder. You don't get that from anyone else in the team.
What will be interesting is what happens if one of the openers scores runs. Like what happens because does Bukowski come in?
I think then it'll become if Wade does well because Wade hasn't done much wrong so far.
I mean, Warner comes in for Harris.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes a Wade versus Green issue if Bukowski's playing well.
Yeah,
Bukowski
yeah,
beat him,
that's the thing. Like Green's on test debut, so like it's going to be very hard to critique any performance he makes.
I reckon Green will only bowl as well if they're under pressure.
I think Green is going to be really good in Adelaide. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't. He won't bowl that much though, but we'll see.
At the end of the day, Green is still a bowling all-rounder. Always has been. When he gets back to his peak, it's ridiculous to think how good he's going to be for Australia. Like,
yeah, he'd be good. I don't know. I can't think of anyone similar to him because he wouldn't say like Stokes level, but maybe like a Jason Holder level right now.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah. I mean, I can just see him.
You see a possibility about like if Head doesn't make any runs, like Wade swapping for Head, for instance, or you think Head's potentially locked in?
I really like.
I've been hearing things about like Head is potentially worrying about his place, stuff like that. So I could easily see Wade swapping in for Head, maybe the third test if Head stops scoring any runs.
I don't know how much
Kovsky's going to come back and open.
Head has been a vice captain recently as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's sort of like that's why I feel like he's a bit younger than Wade, and he's sort of in the captaincy group. Like I feel at the moment he's slightly ahead, even though Wade's been batting above him, unless he did last summer. No, that'll do. That's another question. Should Head or Green bat at 5? I would argue Green, but I don't think that'll happen.
I don't think Head's done like what's wrong. He scored the 100 in Boxing Day.
It's been fine. It's been fine.
But you could argue it's going to be a lot of pressure on Smith and Marnus.
Here's an interesting question. When was the last time the Australian top 6 had one batsman from each state?
But it isn't like that right now.
Yeah, it's gonna. Oh, sorry. If Burns didn't play and Harris played, it would be like that.
Oh, that'd be
another good reason to have Harris in. I do like that. It's like
I don't think India could ever do that.
need about 30 players.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it is very interesting if Harris played. I do like how it's just the best batsman from every state is sort of in the side. It is quite interesting, I think.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good if they ever could manage that, but it doesn't look like it.
The problem is we have the number 4 from New South Wales, Tasmania, South Australia, and Western Australia, and you got to fit them all in, which is why we have Wade opening. But it can't really happen when Warner comes back. So this is the only chance. This is why you play Harris over Burns.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. So last time we had our test thoughts was like 4 or 5 months ago now.
Yeah, we
did
a preview.
We said Burns, Khawaja, and Madison respectively, and none of them will be playing tomorrow. Except, well, like none of them
will be.
I mean, we don't want to be playing tomorrow. That's what I meant. Yeah, it's how things turned out.
Pretty sick. I hope he actually scores runs. Like if he doesn't score runs,
he must be working hard. As Langer says, you can't lose talent.
Yeah.
But how much talent did he have in the first place is the better question.
I think the talent discussion also applies to another opener on the other team. We'll get back onto that later.
Yeah, let's get through Australia first.
Tim Payne, obviously, no issues whatsoever there.
Yep, he's staying. He's
no question about Tim Payne at all.
I think he's silencing the haters each day.
Like
Oh.
the thing is though, like there was talk about Carey, but like he's not even in the
No.
close. Now think about it.
English would be better than not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't know about Carey actually. I've got a few problems with that one. But anyway, not to be
And
fair, he is the
bowling
second best option for Test right now, probably. Except maybe Inglis.
Will this be
Um,
Payne's last summer?
No,
No,
I think he'll play one
one
more.
more.
Before he hinted after the Test championship will be finished.
Yeah, which is one more summer, right? I think.
The final would be next year, right? So that'd be
Yeah.
the part of the next cycle.
Thought it was 2022.
No, that's the next cycle.
Oh, well, that's an interesting thought then. I wonder.
I think he'll play one more summer,
If
sure.
Australia
Play
wins,
one more Ashes.
what does he have left to do? Like,
I mean, that's a good talking point. Will Carey come straight in for Payne? Who's the next captain? Who's the next keeper for next summer if Payne retired?
well, that could be a whole other video, but
Could be.
I guess
Cummins or Smith for captain.
Cummins.
Langer said that Smith is. Well, we don't know what Langer has in mind for Smith, but
Yeah. I
Like-
strongly feel Pat Cummins will be the next Australian Test captain.
I think he's just like the golden cover boy for Australia, really.
The problem is if he's going to captain, he can't. He's not good if he's getting rested much, which means he might have to start thinking about playing less IPL and playing less in other formats to focus on his Test captaincy.
Mm.
honestly, on current form, keeping could be anyone.
I mean, I certainly have someone who I would suggest for keeping.
Wait,
Well, yes, but I don't think Wade wants to keep. What about another Tasmanian? You'll find he just made a nice century at the SCG. Ben McDermott. He is He's the informed keeper at Sheffield Shield level. McDermott and Inglis are the informed keepers at the moment.
did he
Um,
keep? I thought the other didn't someone else keep for Tasmania?
there's Doran, but I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's playing for Australia anytime soon.
I know, but I'm just saying, McDermott, is he a good enough? That's like saying KL Rahul should keep.
I feel like
But
I
he
feel
keeps
like the
the
next keeper
Hurricanes.
will be based on the Sheffield Shield next season, like the form then
Yes.
rather than the form now.
But I will say, right, if it had to choose right now, McDermott is in very, very good
Who
form.
knows? I mean, remember when they chose Payne in the first place?
Well, if it was right now, I'd say Wade would get the gloves, even though
He doesn't
even
want
though he
to.
hasn't been
I mean,
keeping. But he's
then you just play Green, Head, and Wade.
I think it will eventually will be Philippi because he's only like 23 years old. So you'd think he'd
He's
get
not
it.
even playing
who
Shield.
knows?
I know, but I'm just saying, you'd think one day he'd be a
Maybe.
three-keeper
Like
player.
Inglis is just as young, I think.
Yeah,
So-
and Inglis is playing over Philippi right now.
Yeah.
I didn't see why that would change.
Inglis is like 26.
I mean, 20.
I mean, 3 year age gap is not a big deal, but still.
Anyway, let's move on past keeper. Australian, which three seamers are you going to go with for Adelaide?
Well, obviously it's Mitch Stark ahead of Pattinson. I don't think that's the only.
Why?
Because Stark is the best day-night bowler in the world.
I also think there's a big thing about having a left armour for Nathan Lyon and the Roth. It's always a point that you have to think about. I know you always want to play your three best quicks. Arguably, Pattinson's better than Stark, and I'd say he is right now. But the fact that Stark creates full marks for Lyon is huge, I reckon.
Yeah.
Because there's no left armour in the Indian attack that can create full marks for Lyon.
I think India would be happy whenever Stark doesn't play. Even though they smash him sometimes, he's still scary enough for them. And generally speaking,
Is there a case for Michael Neser?
He's behind Pattinson, and
Is he for this test? He's probably the best day-night / Duke ball bowler in a Shield at the moment.
the thing is, I'm pretty sure it's a very flat pitch as well. I don't know who would you.
I've heard that.
apparently he was doing a lot when they were practicing.
It's
Neser,
realistically flat.
I think based on playing Shield and instead of IPL, Neser should be ahead of Pattinson, but that's just my opinion.
Pace does Nisa bowl?
If
I
you're gonna
think so.
argue I know you're gonna argue the all-rounder point, but Cameron Green technically fills that role.
Yeah, but imagine batting Cummins at 9. It would be very annoying for a bowling lineup.
Yeah,
Yeah, true.
right at 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean, Umesh Yadav at 9?
Exactly. That's just such a huge difference in the tails. I feel Stark will play. I do want to see Nisa play a test this summer. He's been in 4 of our last 6 test squads, and he's yet to
I feel
start
like,
a
didn't
game.
someone say that he's definitely going to play? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I don't know, I'm gonna say I'm not a huge fan of actually rotating fast bowlers. I think unless they actually get injured, like why not just keep playing them?
I wouldn't be if I was India, but Australia have so many good fast bowlers.
Well, it depends. What did they do in the? I feel like what Australia did in the Ashes was good.
Was
Yeah,
good.
it went
Like
really
in
well.
the end, it stuffed them up because like they should have played Stark one more game or something like that.
Stark wasn't that good.
The fifth game they ended up having to play Mitch Marsh to cover for some reason, even though they already were rotating. That was a bit strange.
Mm.
Um,
I mean, it's not because they were rotating bowlers. I think that's an unrelated issue.
they said it was because of the workload of the bowlers that wanted Marsh to bowl. He got 5 wickets, but still.
Yeah, clearly
Um,
it works.
I guess Green will make it very easy. Surely Green is the next will be the fifth bowler before Marnus.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's about
mate, yeah,
it's
that's
about
not
his
even a
workload.
question.
So. He's only been allowed to bowl 4 overs in the tour matches.
You say not a question, Ryan, but like second spinner compared to fourth seamer. It's a bit.
Yeah, but oh yeah, you have a point. But
Green will take wickets. Green will bowl 4 overs and get you 2 wickets. Like he's hard to play. His bounce is good. He's a great pace, and he's not even bowling properly yet. Like
I said this before, in person, but he reminds me a lot of Carl Jamison, the way he gets bounced, and
yeah,
obviously he troubled India a lot. India loved to make a debutant look very good.
true.
Um, so he could be a problem early on if he bowls. Shame on Nathan, I guess, because he's another debutant who could. Has he played tests? Oh,
No.
yeah. He's been in their squad since when they played Pakistan like 2 years ago. Like, and he still
I mean,
hasn't.
Green's also very attractive, so that might distract the batsman. I feel.
Though Bumrah might hit him in the head again. So
True. That was Bumrah, right?
yeah.
Okay. Should we move on to India?
Yeah,
yeah, I think
one more thing. What about if hypothetically if the SCG is like the old days, does Swepson come in for someone?
Is Swepson even that much better than Marnus?
Swepson didn't bowl that well in the
In the
practice game.
T20s. We thought that in the T20s, and he did 2 out of 3 games. He played well.
It's very different.
I
Yeah.
feel like Swepson didn't bowl well at all in the Australia game.
But he
Thought
had
he
shield
have it.
stats as well. Good shield stats. I guess they're
I
just
do remember that when Swepson and Marnus together won the game for Queensland against Tassie when they bowled us out in the last session, and he was very impressive then. I thought they were, but Marnus also got some of those wickets. So
actually mine's right. India did make him look pretty average in both games.
Yeah, but his Sheffield Shield record is very good. But that could have just been a one-off game. So
it's not
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, I definitely
Yeah,
think Swepson's the next in line after
He
mine
is.
right now.
Is
So
that-
if
I
there's
don't
a
think he's.
big
I don't
thing,
think he's. I don't think the gap between Swepson and Marnus warrants dropping one of our paces, considering how
Look,
good our paces are.
does Zampa have any shield form? Because like the way he controls his bowling right now, just like surely he's not that bad in shield and white and red ball stuff.
No, Zampa has no shield form. Half of last season, Lloyd Pope played over Zampa.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know if he would care too much to push himself forward in tests, but
I
like
will say, like for spinners,
the way he
the
troubled
white ball and red ball is so different for bowling spinners. It's such a different game. You get wickets in white ball by like containing them and forcing a bad shot. It's very, very different in red ball.
that's the difference between these two, I guess, because India have like Ashwin as a test specialist and stuff like that. Like they have
Yeah.
completely different spin.
We have Lion.
I know. I'm like line. They try to fit line in everything now.
Yeah, but not really at the moment. It was only when a few gaps.
Yeah, I guess they probably won't consider. But if Green's like a great fast bowler, then they could technically still have the team balance that warrants that.
well,
Yeah, but
yeah,
our quick, like I'm starting to think along Will's point, like our quicks are so good. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if
Oh, you could drop Stark.
putting Stubson is gonna like we're gonna lose what
I'm saying because
Hazelwood. Like it's
Nah,
not gonna
Stark.
happen.
No.
to be fair, I'd actually argue the whole SCG spin thing is a little overrated.
Yep.
Like I don't think it usually actually warrants playing two. Though India did do well with Kuldeep Yadav last
Yeah.
time.
I feel like India can warrant bringing in a spinner for the
We
SCG, but
can't.
Australia can't.
Yeah.
Like, what did India lose by dropping their third seamer?
Yeah.
Or I have another idea, but I'll bring it up. So yeah, is that it, basically everyone in the squad? Enriquez as well, I guess. He'd probably the
Yeah, but realistically,
He's
Henrique
only
is
there for injury replacement,
Yeah.
really.
and yeah, that's everyone.
So India, Arjun, what are your thoughts on the Indian openers? We know who's going to play.
Okay, we know who's going to play. Obviously, Mayank Agarwal's proven, and Prithvi Shaw. So obviously he has talent, but he just hasn't shown it in overseas conditions, in my opinion. I think he got 150 against New Zealand, but Shubman Gill seems a way more textbook classy player. Gavaskar and Border have both said he should play, and then they just don't play him. The two things though, I think it means probably Gill will bat in the middle order when Kohli's gone, and the second thing is Rohit Sharma's coming for the third and fourth test, so he'll surely, no matter who it is, he'll just come back in anyway. And I think if Shaw does play well, like he can easily make a quick 40-50. So I don't think they should fans should dwell on it too much. Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess you sort of talked about the next question, but yeah, my next one would be what happens when Kohli leaves? What does that top six look like? So I think there's a lot of options. Rahane probably comes to 4.
Options. I'd say
That's
Gill.
the thing because Vihari went to 4 in the practice games.
I don't know why.
So I'm assuming Vihari would go to 4, and whoever comes in for Kohli will bat at 6, and Rahane will stay at 5.
Yeah, I wonder. I reckon that could happen. I think Bahare is a very solid player. I've always thought that.
Yeah,
He's very
He
underrated.
looked really good.
Yeah, agreed.
he's actually very under the radar. This could be the summer that gets him a bit more in the limelight, especially to the Australian public.
Yeah. And
Um, they'd be tempted to play Gill or Rahul, I reckon, as the extra batter.
Yep.
But out of those two, I'd prefer Gill, to be honest.
But surely Rohit Sharma's coming in, right?
Yeah, Rohit Sharma will open for sure, I think.
He go open, not 6.
Yeah, because
Yeah, Rohit Sharma will open.
he like reinvented himself as an opener when they played
Okay.
at home. So he will come in and open. Even if Shaw bats really well, I think you have to play Rohit, especially leadership point of view and experience point of view.
Yeah.
They could consider him at 4 if Shaw does amazingly well, but
So yeah, I mean, whenever you think of India, you sort of think of the series is going to come down to how like Pujara and Kohli go, and maybe well. I really think that whether or not India win the series depends on the batting performance of Rahane and Bahari. I think they're going to be so crucial throughout the series.
I think Agarwal as well.
Yeah, Agarwal and Pujara, yes, we know them, but
Yeah,
that middle order is going to be so important against a
Yeah, I
strong
agree.
Australian bowling lineup.
the two of them, Rahane struggled a lot recently. Like his stats used to be amazing overseas, but the last cycle, so that's South Africa, England, New Zealand, Australia, he struggled a lot more. So, and now he's going to captain the side, which is he has to perform. It's almost like a little career spurring series for him.
I feel like he played really well in the practice game. So, well, in my opinion,
And
so
both of them,
I definitely see him having a good series. But
both of them got bounced out by Wagner and stuff in New Zealand. So I wonder if Australia will try those tactics.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, no, I will say like Pujara is also, he's 32, which isn't too bad, but he hasn't been in the best form. Like it's not the form we saw last summer. It's quite disappointing against New Zealand. He got 150 across 4 innings. I think he averaged about 20. Practice game, he made a 54 on a duck. When was the last time he got a Test century?
You'd think at home, whether it's South Africa or Bangladesh.
Yeah,
India's form is very interesting because they haven't actually played a lot of Test cricket in those 2 years. I think Australia
yeah,
might have played more than them.
Yep.
The only hard series was New Zealand away, and they completely blown out of the water.
yeah.
Though all those everyone we've mentioned have had like a couple knocks here and there, but none of them have been. No one's been great throughout the whole, even Kohli himself.
Yep.
So I think it might be just one of those where each innings someone else has to chip in a bit more.
Yeah, that's why I say Rahane and Bahari in particular. I don't think Agarwal and Pujara are going to have amazing summers. I think Agarwal in particular, Australia seem to be like knowing how to get him out, at least in the white balls. Like when these new players coming in, yes, he had one good summer, but we've got a lot more on Agarwal now. I think we're going to have plans to get him out, and it's going to be a big factor of getting that early wicket in. We probably back ourselves to get Shaw out, but Agarwal,
Yeah,
I
I feel
love
like he
the
got
plans
himself
for it.
out Agarwal in both the ODIs, and like he looks so good when he hits those fours.
Yeah, and being good against Syke in the first over doesn't mean much. He never made a score. I think that's Agarwal's just played so much white ball cricket, it can't help.
Yeah, I guess. I think whenever, like, I guess he kind of saved India last time with his opening. So, like, to win in Australia, you need an opening batsman to do well.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be a big problem. Like that's why I just go back to the middle order point, because I think Agarwal and Pujara aren't going to be what India are hoping for. But I think the two batsmen with the best potential are the 5 and 6 that are going to become the 4 and 5. They can win India this series. They really could.
I thought Gill, I'd argue, is probably, if you compare it to Australian, like, sort of hype, would be like Pukovsky, I guess. Like, they both had amazing first class careers, and they're, lucky to not play Test cricket.
Yep.
Numbers, the wicketkeeper, this is a whole nother debate. Ryan, what do you think?
I'm still going to go with Saha, even though Rishabh Pant gives you the. Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard.
I just want to start off and say, when has Punt like kept bad?
Yeah, I know that's the problem.
Like
I think I get swayed by what people say about him
Just a bit
more
fat.
than what I see.
Yeah, everyone says Saha's great and all that, and he is in India and stuff. But
The thing is, his average isn't great as a
Punt
batter.
hasn't done much
And
wrong.
keeping wise, you'd argue that Pont hasn't really made any mistakes.
But I mean, do you count form in other formats? Like,
Well, Saha doesn't play. Oh, actually, Saha did all right in the IPL at the end.
yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Between the two of them, there's only like an 8-run difference in average, but I guess it's because Punt scored 100 in Australia before and in
You got
England,
the one big score.
and obviously he can score fast. We all know that. But I just think like the potential in him warrants selection. Saha's at the end of his career, pretty much. Why not just keep going with Punt? It worked last time. He failed in New Zealand, but he's just too good to miss out. I think
I mean,
the Australian public love him as well.
I still disagree about potential warranting selection. This is a tour away in India. This is like against a full strength Australian side. They've never beaten a full strength Australian
That's the
side.
thing.
Honestly.
The thing
They
is,
want to
Pont
get their
will take
best
away the
possible
game
team.
from Australia in one
I
session.
don't mean potential as in like the career. I meant potential as in he could potentially just get it 120 off 100 balls.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah, that's why I'm sort of swayed because he can definitely take the game away from Australia in one innings. In the second innings, imagine what India need 350 to win in a day. Pont can win you the game.
He looks in Test matches. I'd argue he's at ease because they spread the field out for him and it just makes it easier for him. His big shots are easier to play as well. I think Test is actually his best format, I'd say.
Like I get the 350 to win point, but what about on the flip side? What about when they're batting out the last day for a draw? Saha is a warrior. Like he can hang in there. He can stay.
Yeah, that's the toss up, isn't it?
Like Well, I didn't see. I didn't get that point.
Actually, I do argue Saha's under a little bit. He had that.
Yeah.
The most notable would be when him and Pujara had a massive partnership when they saved the
Yep.
game against in
That's the
India.
thing. Like, I'd be majorly on the fence between them. I'd honestly toss a coin. I'd be happy with either outcome.
No, I'd definitely go for Saha. I think he's got much more stamina. He can play that big innings. Palm was good last summer, but this summer's gonna be very different. I think I don't see the Indian, top 5 and top 6 having the same sort of starts that let Pant make all these runs. There's
I
going to be
still
times in this series where the keeper's going to really have to stand up. It's going to be, the 5 for 120, 5 for 140. Saha's going to have to come in and make a score.
the thing
And
is,
I don't think Pant can do that. If there's a collapse, Pant's going to be in the collapse. He's not going to be the one that stands up.
in a 5 for 120, you could say Saha and Pant could both make a 30-ish, right? Pant would probably get it off 40 balls. If Saha gets it off 80 balls, you could say the Saha innings is more valuable because it more likely warrant a bigger partnership, I guess.
I just Pant has to change his game a bit, I think, to be a proper Test player. That's my honest thoughts.
I'm gonna sit on the fence. I genuinely have no idea.
You say that, but the likes of De Kock and Warner and stuff, they play the same way he does.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, especially De Kock, I think that'd be the closest example. Wicketkeeper batsman, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a good point.
my idea, I said to Ryan a couple of times. So obviously, the next position is Jadeja or Ashwin, right? I think it's just Jadeja's injured, but let's say in Sydney, why not try Jadeja at 6 and Ashwin at 8?
Yep.
Yep.
And then you have no Shaw, I suppose, and Rohit Sharma opens.
No, actually, now thinking about it, you do need those batters against Australia.
But Jadeja can get a 30 as well, 30, 40.
Yeah, why don't you take out one of your quicks?
Just because,
Your third seamer.
just to play Ashwin and Jadeja, because they're bowling wise.
I mean, I'd rather get rid of the third seamer instead of one of your batters, to be honest.
no,
I
but you
mean,
need 3 seamers in Australia. That's what I reckon. Because that combination worked in India, and I think they'll keep playing that in India.
The problem is India don't have an all-rounder, so it just sucks.
Jadeja's an all-rounder. That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, who's going to be the Indian number 6 for the Boxing Day Test?
Gill or Rahul.
Yeah, so that's not a huge loss to bring in Jadeja there. I don't think.
Yeah,
That's who he comes in for.
and he doesn't have. There's not as much pressure on his bowling, and it's a pretty handy fifth bowler to be honest.
Yeah.
And obviously his fielding is great as well. So I think individually he's better than Ashwin. I guess because Ashwin is a more attacking bowler, like a better bowler.
He's still got a back Ashwin. Like, he's one of the best spinners in the world still.
It's always tough between the two.
I know this may be a very general point, but I genuinely feel like whoever bats better will win the series. And
That's crazy. Wow.
well,
I mean, yeah, I think there's 4 things, right? Like batting and bowling for each team. I think the most uncertainty we have about is probably how India bat.
Yeah.
And I think Jadeja at 8 he always managed to scrape the team out. So why not try him higher?
Yeah. At the same time, how Australia bat?
it's still a really long tail.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be surprised if
Even though he's considered an all-rounder or a bowling all-rounder, it's still a very long tail.
I still think India have that problem of removing Australia's tail.
Yeah, especially if you're playing Nisa and Pattinson. It'll just be ridiculously hard. Like, Nisa can score centuries. In fact, he did. He did score a century in the first game of the Shield season, and got a 5-for, and he got 8 wickets and a century in the one game. But I mean, I think our Australia bat's going to be very interesting. Like last summer, it was so dominant, but this is going to be much better pace attack.
Wait, should we just finish off India's 3 seamers and then?
Oh yeah, sure.
So obviously Shami and Bumrah have to play.
Yep.
They've gone for Umesh Yadav. I think that's the right decision. He's the most experienced.
Yep.
He's played 4 tours already here.
Yep.
looks better with age. Sort of
Yeah,
like
it's like the like for like replacement for Ishant Sharma. Really, that's
yeah.
what makes
Well,
the
you
most
can
sense.
argue Shant's a bit better, but yeah. But
Yeah, I know, but it's
one thing you guys have said is the tail thing. Umesh Yadav has hit 30 of 10 balls before in Test cricket. Jasprit Bumrah just got his first 50 in professional cricket. Like, why can't they just stick around for 20 or so?
which batsman did Bumrah get his 50 against? So which bowlers?
Green.
Sams and Ty and Abbott.
Yeah.
Not
Maybe Sam's,
not not
but
Abbott.
it was like Sutherland or someone. It wasn't Sam. He doesn't play
Oh yeah,
bad.
sorry, I was thinking of the limited overs. Yeah, even worse. What, Patrick Rowe?
I don't know. Patrick
Sketch.
Rowe's a keeper.
He didn't do anything.
Um,
I mean, it's not Nathan Lyon is what who they were replacing, and it wasn't Mitchell Stark
Sammy,
bowling Yorkers, and it
Sammy's
wasn't
not that bad. I
Cummins
think
and Hazelwood.
obviously they're not as good as even not as good as Lyon and Hazelwood, but I still think they're not as much as a lie down tail as they were last time they came.
The number 8 averages 11 in Test cricket. Like,
What's Ashwin now?
oh yeah, I suppose the number 9 still.
But I
Like,
think Yadav changes game. He just goes harder now. If it,
but like, so it's going to be very hard to go hard against the Australian attack. It's hard to do.
I guess yeah.
So only against Lion, he's going to score runs realistically.
But Lionel can get him out. Lion's still a great bowler against the tail, like he is.
Yeah, he'll get him out, but he'll bleed a few runs.
If it was actually Ishant Sharma's batting has improved a lot. He he actually has he's actually a little bit of a miss from batting point of view. He's actually learned to face 80, 70, 80 balls. He got a couple of 50s, I think, against the West Indies.
But like, it's a grim look for the Indian tail if you think if only we had Ishant Sharma to come in and bat. Like, you can see it's not looking amazing, is it?
True, but I think Ishant Sharma's just as good defensively as Cummins, I reckon.
How about that? How many runs will he score off that
Odd
84?
and realistically, if your lower order is scoring runs, there's serious issues with your top order, mate.
No, I'm just saying. I don't know what this argument is about, but
Yeah.
they're not. They're not. Like they it won't matter anyway. But they're not that bad.
I mean, it could matter. I mean, the Indian tail won't matter. It will matter when the Australian tail can hang around and hit 150 with pain. Like, that's when it's going to matter.
Yeah, I think every time, whether it's Sam Curran, Jameson, I don't know, Philander, someone always manages to ruin it for India.
Yeah.
Well, Ashwin can do the job. He plays that role. So
Yeah. They also have Saini and Siraj, obviously. They they might consider rotating that third spot if that person doesn't perform, I guess. Because,
Yep.
because Shami and Burma, you'd think no matter what, would always have to play.
Yeah, I could see Siraj coming in for Umesh. Just like I say, Umesh gets 1 wicket in 2 innings, and Adelaide is not going to play the Boxing Day test.
And then in Sydney and Melbourne, it's very easy for India to play a second spinner, I reckon, if they
Yeah.
want.
So should we go into series predictions?
Yeah.
Okay. What are we thinking? Let's get them out there, Ryan.
4-0 Australia. I said this to you boys like a while ago, but I just think Australia's better in all 3 departments. So I'm going Australia. 4-0, yeah.
I think it's too easy to say 4-0 because nothing ever runs that smoothly. Like even if they are much better and everything.
I just feel like when Kohli's gone, that's a huge the fact that when we didn't have Warner and Smith, we were nowhere when we were batting.
Yeah, but India have much
Kohli has
more
that same influence.
people waiting than Australia do. I'd say.
I'm also going to say 4-0 Australia.
I'm gonna say 3-1. I think there'll be some blip where India grab one.
Do you think India would win?
It could be has to be one of the first 3, I think. Because
it's going to be the first one, I think.
Adelaide
I
obviously.
can only see them winning Adelaide.
But
I
Sydney
could
and
say Melbourne, but still.
Sydney and Melbourne are just dead, and like usually win the toss does
Well, we
well.
don't know that yet. We'll see. I mean, the Australian top order is just so much better than it was 2 years ago. It's ridiculously better.
First game. Yeah.
Like, because
Mr.
every
Marnus
single person is better.
last time.
Like, there's no, you're not getting held up by Kawaja and Sean Marsh with Harrison Finch opening. Like, it's just so different. Yeah, our middle order is very solid. Cameron Green will score a century this series. I'm calling it right now. Probably in Adelaide. Even though he's never played a day-night game before. I can see him getting a century. He's a very good batsman. Wade's going to be opening. I say Wade making runs. Head's going to be scoring runs in the middle order. And like, how are you going to get Marnus out in Australia? He doesn't get out. He just doesn't do that in test matches. You don't get Marnus out. Forget Smith. You don't get Marnus out. Like,
I feel on paper Indian batting is pretty good as well though.
I don't think it's comparable to Australia's though. It's good, but it's not as good as Australia's.
I mean, if you compare, I don't know, I guess it's different because Vihari and Green different. You don't know. Agarwal and Warner, you don't know. Like it's just hard to compare.
I mean, but especially when Warner comes back, Australia is surely just unstoppable, right?
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be like last summer again. Like Bumrah and Shami are good, sure, but it's very hard. Warner, Labuschagne, Smith in the top four. It's the three of the top. We're probably 6 or 7 Test batsmen in the world right now. Then they're probably pretty much the top 3 in Australian conditions. They're just incredibly hard to get out.
I don't know one thing. I'm getting similar vibes to the 2014-15 series.
Yep.
I think obviously it's hard to remember 6 years ago what the hype was like, but Australia were coming off a 5-0 Ashes, India were coming off horror international away form, and they managed to scrape a couple of draws, and it was a high scoring series. I think it could easily be like that as well.
Yeah, but you were very reliant on Virat Kohli and Rahane scoring runs and VJ. The opening spot
Like
very easy.
I'm saying 4-0 isn't as easy as it seems. Like it's like, but I think somehow something change a little bit.
But in the 14-15 series, Australia still did hit 500 in the first innings of every single match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was mostly Smith, from what I remember. That was Smith's.
Smith scored 400s and Kohli scored
And
400.
India got 400 in every single
They
match.
both scored 400s, didn't they, in that series?
Yeah.
I think India's team is still quite similar to that. Funnily enough. Do you think India will miss Kohli's captaincy?
I think Rahane's a good captain. I think they're going to miss his batting more than his captaincy.
Yep, same, agreed.
I'm very intrigued to see Rahane's captaincy. Just like you rarely get to see like a sub temporary captain, if you will.
Yeah, I hope
Payne drops that line.
Can't wait. I want to see the response.
Actually, it'd be hilarious if Payne said that to
Payne drops that. That'd be so funny.
Yeah.
I look actually thinking that he probably will say that as a joke, like laughingly.
Pretty good.
Yeah, like you'll see how much power the captain, like how much change they actually do, like field settings and stuff like that. What are some important battles you'd say? I mean, like
it just does feel like India can fight more with Kohli. Like, it's just something about his arrogance and the way he carries himself. You just feel India auras in the game when he's your captain. And he's just like, you don't get the same vibe with Rahane, even though he's a great captain.
I'm gonna say, yeah, Kohli's sort of mellow vibe lately doesn't really inspire much.
Like, yeah, and they haven't been as good lately.
I feel like he needs to be like all the test matches is different. Like every wicket is massive and stuff, but I want him
to win a test series. You've got to hunt as a pack. You've got to be aggressive, and you aren't going to win this series by being nice.
I want people to hate on Kohli again. I want him to.
Yeah. I want to hate on Kohli again. He's being too nice. I love hating on Kohli. It's one of my favorite things.
Usually, when people are hating, he's usually playing better as well. Yeah.
Is it I guess let's ask, what can India do to win this series? I'll ask this to Ryan first. What do India have to do? Like, what would win India the series?
I don't think you can avoid Australia scoring runs. Our top order is just too good. So that's out of the question. So realistically, it comes down to their batting. So they just have to bat time, bat long.
Yeah.
I don't. That's the problem. I don't see them doing that. That's why I went 4-0. I can see them having like good batting like stints in periods where they last maybe have a really good session where they don't lose a wicket, but then they'll just collapse and lose like 3 or 4 wickets in the space of 40 minutes.
Yep.
That's what I see happening. So
What do you think, Ashen? What
can't
do
see
India have to
India
do to win
winning.
this series?
Yeah, I'd say batting long for sure. Just not giving your wicket away. The first session in Adelaide last time, everyone looked pretty poor, and they had to rely on Pujara bailing them out. But I think a few more people need to have the same mindset like Pujara. I mean, it's easier said than done, but yeah.
Yep.
And then the other thing, I do back India to maybe 1 or 2 times actually bowl well to the top order, but then
Yeah.
actually fully clean up the innings. Like they've struggled with that many, many times, as we said, and just to not take the foot off the pedal, I guess, when it comes to bowling.
I don't think there's. I just in my head, I just can't imagine a situation where all three of Warner comes back, Warner, Marnus, and Smith all failing.
I
That'll
mean,
be.
Even if it does happen, there's still a lot of work to be done left.
Yeah.
For India to win this series, they're going to have to be able to get Australia out. That's going to be totally clear. I mean, for one thing, they've got to win Adelaide, which they could do. Adelaide, they've got to get in there, get Australia at night under the pink ball and just clean up Burns and Wade and just attack Marnus and Smith, get those wickets. You can clean up Australia with the pink ball, maybe, especially without Warner. Put pressure on Green, put pressure on Payne and Cummins, who aren't in amazing form. Just I guess
Actually,
not ridiculous.
thing you would need, I reckon, is to be able to chase. They haven't chased like a 180 plus score, I think,
Yeah.
under Kohli. The highest chase is probably 110, a successful chase.
Yeah.
They've had so many close games in England and stuff where they're only chasing like 220, but that's still too hard for them, especially the pitches as well, by day 4 or 5.
I feel like this
I
series
feel like
will be very much like New
New
Zealand's.
Zealand and India are chasing 260 or something, and you'd say, oh, they could be in the game, but they usually don't get close. I think there has to be a time when they need to step up and say, we have to chase well.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the key for India is going to be breaking partnerships. Australia won 5-0 last summer because it was because of huge batting partnerships, often between Warner and Marnus, but not always. India can't let Australia have a successive 150 partnerships in the top order. They have to be able to find ways to get out people like Smith and Marnus, before they get to 100. It's just, I know it sounds obvious, but they've got to find plans that are going to get them out in the middle of their innings, which sort of happened with Smith. We saw Smith just randomly getting out to New Zealand sometimes. They're going to have to find ways to not let Australia get massive partnerships at home, and that's so hard because Australia always get massive partnerships at home. But India can't win a Test match if Australia are hitting 600 in the first innings every time, like we did last summer.
Obviously, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if India employ the same tactics as what Wagner did and bowl.
They'll try.
I don't think they actually will. Like they might a little bit, but that's not even really the way Bumrah and Shami bowl. Like they're better when their bounces are a surprise, not when they're the stock ball.
But when they can't get him out, they're going to have to try.
What I was going to say, this is
I feel
going
like Bomber should employ more of his ODI and T20 skills, like bowl more slow balls, bowl more Yorkers. I know it's not common in Test matches, but that's where he bowls his best. I can easily see him casting a lot of players with that Yorker. Because no one really bowls Yorkers in Test matches. They just bowl like line length.
I don't think this is going to sound a bit cynical, but you have to win the toss. Whenever India win the toss, especially away from home, they play a lot better than they do when they lose the toss. In New Zealand, they lost both tosses. In England, they lost all 5 tosses. South Africa, the one time they won the toss, they won the test.
I still have that confidence. If Australia lose the toss every single game, we're going to win the game. We're going to win every single game.
If they bat first, they're 50% better than if they're bowling first.
More.
It's just so important winning the toss for in Test cricket nowadays. It's too important. I think that actually is a problem in cricket.
But I mean, I think as long as if Australia can have one opener that can score a 50 in each game, that's good enough. India have to get the openers out because Smith and Marnus have never really had a big partnership together. It's usually one of them.
Except for the Ashes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at home.
Yeah.
I think if India can get both openers out early, which they certainly can in Adelaide, I back Wade, but I think they're going to have to try. They're going to get Burns.
Long
Burns is
score
going to
for
be an
Australia with two
afterthought.
down. What was
Sorry?
the long score Australia with 2 down for last summer? I'm sure it's not lower than
It
80.
wasn't very low, I can tell you that. Not in the first innings.
Yeah. Yeah. It must have. I think maybe when Marnus got out on Boxing Day, maybe. That's all I can think
Yeah.
of off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think Trent Bell got 2 early wickets in one of the ones, and then it was Warner and Smith had a big partnership or something.
Mm.
But yeah, like if you can get Warner out early, then you never know. Because I do think when Warner plays well, Australia play well. Smith and Marnus, not to the same extent. Usually, when one of them plays well, Warner does too at home. If you can get Warner and Wade or Wade and Burns or whoever it happens to be out early, India have a chance to keep Australia under 350.
Would you say your 4-0 is swayed by the fact that how poor they made New Zealand look?
Yes.
Yeah. Because last year I remember you were saying New Zealand could maybe scrape one, but they did not. They looked so unbelievably bad, New Zealand, and India looked just as bad when they played in New Zealand. So
Yeah. So not only how poor we made New Zealand look, but also how good India made New Zealand look.
yeah,
That's us playing at home and India playing away, which is what this series is.
exactly. So
Like it's a pretty huge comparison.
it's kind of sad if India do completely lie down like in the ODIs, but you wouldn't be completely surprised as well.
I mean, Australia at full strength, we don't really lose series at home. It doesn't happen. When was the last time an Australian side that everyone feels confident about has lost a Test series at home? It's just non-existent.
I mean, what do you mean completely? Like, would you say
Like,
2016 you weren't confident when they lost to South Africa?
yeah, I mean, it was all new. We had all these debutants, and it was all a bit messed up, and we didn't have a solid bowling lineup. And then 2018, we didn't have Smith and Warner.
I guess no one. Maybe 2010 Ashes, but I don't know what the
Yeah,
vibe was.
yeah, that's when. Um,
Or when actually no, maybe when South Africa. I don't know. South Africa always managed to do well here.
yeah, that's fair. The time before the 2016, there was when Graeme Smith broke his hand, and
They had that amazing game. So who's? Should we do the disappointing, promising thing?
yeah, just most runs, most wickets, and then maybe I don't know, least. I guess then most disappointing. Yeah. Let's start off with India. Let's mix it up. Who's going to get the most runs for India this series?
Let Ryan start.
I think it's gonna be Rahane. Like, I seriously believe it's gonna be Rahane. No reason. Like,
I'm
yeah.
thinking
I think
Rahane.
I think it looked okay during the Pro Tour game, and I think it's due. So I'm gonna go with Rahane.
What do you reckon, Arjun?
I'm gonna say Rahane as well. I think they need it from him to lead from the front as well. And yeah, he's due a good series as well.
Yep. I think Rahane were good, but I'm going to mix it up. I'll say Bahari. I think Bahari is top scorer for India this summer. I think he's very solid.
From number 6, or do you think he'll move up to?
I think I'll move up to 4 or at least 5. Either way, I don't think it'll matter. And then most disappointing Indian batsman.
I mean, if there's an is anyone expecting Shaw to do well? Like, realistically,
He could easily play one game, just one game. So
are we
I'm gonna say-
talking about disappointing as in terms of like not meeting expectation, or
Yeah,
generally?
expectation.
say
Which
the
is why
expectation.
I'm going to say Pajara.
Yeah, Pajara for
I'm
sure.
going to say Pajara's going to have a poor summer.
I was gonna say the
Cool.
expectation is what their average is because they all average about like 50, 40, 50. I'm gonna say. Well, this is depending on if he comes. But I'm going to say when Rohit Sharma comes back, he's actually not going to be that good.
Yeah.
Like I want him to do well, but
Yeah.
he could easily not. So I'm going to say him.
Yeah. No, I don't think Pujara is going to be India's worst batsman. I think he's just going to have an okay series, but like he's meant to be their best batsman this
Yeah,
year.
I'm gonna say he's gonna have like an average around 30.
I think the other candidate would be Agarwal for me.
Yeah,
I think Agarwal's going to have a poor summer.
I'm 50-50 with him. I
You
could
could
have.
argue that's disappointment based on how he went last time. But yeah, I think Agarwal and Pujara are going to let India down, and Rahane and Bahari are going to have to stand up.
So you doing bowler as well then for each team?
Yeah,
Two
sure.
bowlers.
India. So most wickets. I'll say Shami.
Yeah, it's between two really.
Yeah, Shami.
I think Boomer's gonna take. Not that like it really matters, but Boomer.
I think it'll be Shami. I think he can clean up a bit better. The
Yeah.
end.
And then disappointment for me is Ashwin/Jadeja. Ashwin when he gets whacked and doesn't take any wickets, and then Jadeja when he comes in and also gets whacked and doesn't take any wickets.
Yep.
I mean, this is saying
There's no other really. There's no other
There's no-
options really.
picking 2 out of 4 players. Like it's kind of hard.
Yeah, bowlers doesn't make as much sense. I also think Bumrah's going to have a bad series there, so oh well.
I'd just say out of I don't think he'll be that bad, but he's probably not going to be good enough.
Yeah.
Like if he averages like 40, like that's pretty not good enough. So probably something like that.
Australia, most runs, most wickets. I'm gonna most runs minus Labuschagne. Easy call. Just too good. I love minus. What do you reckon, Arjun?
I think it has to be the person that India can never get out, and that's Steve Smith.
Yeah, I'm going Smith as well.
Yeah.
I actually don't think Marnus is gonna have a spectacular series. He's gonna have a good series, but it won't be spectacular.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, considering Smith's one day form, look out, India. Yeah, it's fair, but I'll back minus. Biggest disappointment in the Australian batting lineup. I mean, Burns could get 6 golden ducks, and everyone that's be meeting expectations. So, I don't know. It's a tough one.
This could be
I
harsh.
think everyone expects Cameron Green to really blow up and score big runs, but I don't think he is.
That's fair.
I'm going to say Pukowski. If he plays, he won't be as good as it's a very hard to debut against India. But yeah, I think he won't be as good as his Shield form.
I don't know. I think they're all going to be good. I'll say Travis Head. Travis Head's going to have an average summer. I think it'll be a disappointment because he's not going to get to bat much. No, I don't actually think that. But yeah, so I back everyone else more. So I just don't have it in me to say Wade, even though I don't think he'll make that many runs opening. But I think it'll be good enough. I'm just so excited for a Wade and Minus partnership tomorrow or Friday. That's going to be great.
I just want to say I really want the par to be 250, not 400.
Yeah, I
Who
hope
knows
it
what
is.
the pitches will be like? The day-night test will certainly be the most interesting one, you'd think, but
Yeah.
apparently not.
The way the games went last time between the two, they were okay. Except when India scored 600, but yeah.
Yeah, the first 2 games last time are really exciting. It's just can the MCG and the SCG deliver interesting pitches? Who knows?
Building off that SCG pitch for the ODIs.
Yeah.
Not looking good.
They scored 390 in an ODI. Imagine this match.
Yep. So okay, Australia, who's going to get the most wickets? I don't think we bother with the disappointment as much for bowlers. It doesn't really make as much sense with 4.
Yeah, really, yeah.
Most wickets for the summer.
Hazelwood.
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 Yeah.
Yep. Could be Cummins.
I think Hazelwood just looks the best bowler right now.
I think they'll be more wary against Cummins and wary against Nathan Lyon, and then they might try to have to attack Hazelwood more, and then
Yeah.
you go.
Hazelwood's almost the top test bowler in the world for me. He's so good. He's so consistent. He's like what Siddle used to be, and a bit like what Ryan Harris used to be.
Ryan Harris, yeah.
Yeah, it's underrated and amazing. But in saying that, Cummins is a very good player. I also think Nisa will be like about the most above expectations if he plays a test. Because I see him making runs, and I see him being a solid bowler, like as good as the others.
Do you think Nisa could play at 6?
Yeah,
Like-
that's what I was actually thinking before. If you wanted to play two spinners, is there merit to having?
Well, Green at 5, Nice at 6, and 2
Just
spinners.
let's say
A
Green.
lot of bowling.
I mean, what do you mean? You got to have Payne in there.
Yeah.
I'll see. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Sure. Yeah, I feel they'd still bet Payne above Nisa, but
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I wasn't sure.
but then what you do is you play Cummins and Pattinson with Nisa, and then you just have imagine that batting lineup. You just have Green, Nisa,
Like-
Pattinson, and Cummins is your 7, 8, 9.
I reckon like someone's not going to get any overs in that bowling attack.
They're all good enough to. I mean, Green. I don't think Green's gonna bowl. Not gonna bowl that
I
much.
can't imagine Nisa playing as for one of the three. I don't know. He's good, but I don't know.
I think he will.
I remember hearing someone saying that at some point Nisa will play this summer.
Was it me?
No. It was on Cricket Australia.
I'm gonna say obviously you can't predict this stuff, but I feel like there's got to be like a big injury for one of these two teams. And
Guys, who's gonna get injured?
Well, if it's on India's side, like if it's Bumrah or Shami.
like Bumrah, Shami, one of them might act like considering their workload.
If it's Bumrah or Shami, you're screwed. With Australia, we've got options.
I'm thinking Agarwal. Agarwal's gonna get hit on the head and he's gonna be out for the summer.
Navdeep signing.
It's gonna be really bad. Yep, Agarwal. It's gonna be like the second over of the Adelaide Test, and Agarwal's gonna just get whacked by a
Will
Josh.
there be a concussion sub this series? Yes, that's what
Sorry.
you're saying. Will there be a concussion sub in this series?
Yes.
Yep, it's gonna be Agarwal, and it's gonna be Shubman Gill coming in for Agarwal in the second over.
I think Gill will become the new Marnus.
Yep. I caught it. Agarwal's gonna get a serious concussion injury in the second over of the Adelaide Test.
Gill will follow the same career path as Marnus, I reckon.
Who am I kidding? Agarwal won't be in by the second over of the Adelaide Test. Who's gonna win the toss? I reckon Australia are gonna win 3, but India will win it in Sydney.
I guess
Judging by our record, I think you're going to be completely incorrect, and it's going to be reverse to what you said.
What do you mean? India always loses the toss as well.
Look, there is absolutely no chance India win the toss tomorrow. It's not going to happen. Can you think of a world where India win the toss in Adelaide? But this cannot happen. There's not a chance. I'm going to put money on it right now.
I don't know. I can't tell if you're being serious because India won the toss last time. And
No, it's not going to happen.
Oh,
Any other predictions?
Is it good? Do you think? I mean, it's obviously impossible to tell right now, but like batting first in all 4 tests would be the big strategy, dominant strategy. Especially because Adelaide, because you don't want to bat at night. SCG, MCG because they're rows, and Brisbane is usually pretty good for batting at the start.
I've realised my predictions are a bit contradictory with having Agarwal getting knocked out in the second over of the test, but also India never winning the toss in Adelaide. I guess
you meant second over of the innings. Yeah.
Well,
where does Agarwal field? He's in the slips.
no,
Surely
like
not.
short leg sometimes, short mid.
Yeah, nah. Joe Burns is going to huge top edge up in the air, and Agarwal, just for whatever reason, he doesn't see it. He's just standing there. hits him on the head. Agarwal knocked out.
This is
This is awful at this point.
truly is great insight.
Well, Joe Bench definitely won't be in unless Wade faces the whole first over himself.
Michael Nisa takes an important catch as a sub fielder.
Good one. Wade to hit 2 4s in the first over of every innings he plays this summer.
Tim Payne to not hit anything in front of square.
Nice. Holy out for 1. LBW Hazelwood.
Coley wastes a review.
Oh yeah, I reckon Collar's gonna
Use
fail
it,
both innings.
and it's so plum.
No, I think I got a feeling he will score because he just hasn't got 100 this year. Like he's got to be hungry to score.
I think the second innings he might get a 30, but the first innings he's getting like 5.
I don't know. The thing with Coley right now, I can see anything happening. Like you're not surprised if he gets like 2 or
But the
200.
thing is, Test cricket, you can't. It's not as predictable as ODIs. Like I could see anything happening.
Well, so final prediction: Indian fans to hate Matthew Wade by the end of the summer, like so much. He's going to cop so much abuse. He won't get an IPO contract just because of how much India hate him.
Let them down.
I can't tell you why yet, but it's going to happen.
Because Wade's chat on the field.
Quite possibly. Should we finish up? As good as these predictions are.
Yeah.
No, I genuinely think slips catching is sometimes a problem for India as well. And if you drop Marnus or someone early on, I
Yeah.
feel like you're screwed.
You're very funny if that happened.
Like imagine they knock over Burns first over, and then Marnus nicks off first ball, but it's dropped. Holy.
Like I can see that happening as well.
Dropped by Agarwal after it hits his head.
Hits him in the jaw.
Yeah.
All right, so wrapping up, 2 4-0s, 3-1. Yeah.
Yep.
Who's played the series quickly?
Ooh.
Smith.
It's very
Because
hard to say
I
Smith.
think batting will win the series, so Smith.
Cameron Green.
Hazelwood.
I don't think Cameron Green, but I'm going to stick with it.
Okay.
I think one of your two answers, but no, Cameron Green.
Yeah.
A century. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. This has been the Chinamen, a very interesting episode. And we'll see you back possibly after the test summer, possibly after a few tests. We don't know. Be sure to subscribe.
I'm sure we'll do like a mid BPL, not BPL, Big Bash, preview, not preview, review.
So you do a Big Bash preview, lads.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Thanks.